Closer, welcome to Tales for Wales, the pod that never fails to I'll take the high road and you'll take the low road and I'll get to banter just before ye.
Very good, very good. You may take our pods, but you'll never take our freedom.
You may take our pod, but you'll never take our banter. I don't know what today's episode's about, but so I said to Jack, I'll do an intro. What's it about? And he went, Scotland.
Just say Scottish.
Yeah. Well, the problem with Scotland is it's full of Scots. We'll drop that in.
The trouble with Scotland is that it's full of Scots.
We're going to drop that in.
I know. He's 6'5" and fires lightning bolts from his arse.
You can't be William Wallace. You're not tall enough.
William Wallace is 10 feet tall. I know. I know.
That's why it's the best film, and it always will be. It's fucking amazing.
Man. I wish after this, I might chuck it on after this. I don't know why. Watch it all the way through. Most of all, I know. And he could obliterate the English with lightning bolts from his eyes and fire bolts from his arse.
I think he's class in it as well. People slam him, but he's so good.
I am William Wallace.
It's from 1994 as well, and it still holds up.
Oh, mate,
we're such advocates for that film. We just drop in every clip we ever had about it.
Revived the great battle epic, in my opinion. Because back then, you didn't have CGI armies. It was just fucking like hundreds of people smashing into each other.
You can see how Gladiator took loads from Braveheart. Like so much of the aesthetics and so much like the fight scenes and stuff like that. But definitely, I do think Gladiator's I rewatched Gladiator the other day, and it's definitely aged in comparison to Braveheart, which hasn't aged anywhere near as much. Like the acting in Gladiator is pretty over the top and like not very like realistic, whereas I think everyone in Braveheart gives a proper good account of themselves.
Yeah, 100%. Did you watch the Gladiator 2 trailer in the end?
I'm not going to after you said. No, I've decided not to because I love going in blind.
Yeah, do it. Go in blind. I would recommend if anyone listening who is a fan of the first Gladiator and you're thinking about watching the Gladiator 2 trailer, don't.
But annoyingly, they'll probably show it at the cinema, won't they?
Yes, they probably will, annoyingly, because I thought, after I watched it, I was like, well, that's the whole entire film ruined. Like, I know, I could tell you beat for beat what's going to happen in that film, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because it's very like, when you know, like a trailer is meant to like whet your appetite. Instead of just showing you exactly what's going to happen.
But they don't anyway. There is an art to doing a good trailer.
100%, yeah.
But I don't think
it's definitely art to it. But it's, don't watch it if you don't want to be spoiled. I think if you watch it, you'll kind of realise what the film is. So
I was just also going through our notes because but we've already mentioned the American stuff on the last podcast, didn't we?
We did.
I was going to say as well, like I had to take Bo to the vets, my dog to the vets, a couple of weeks ago, just for ahead of the wedding. We wanted to see like, is there anything we could do to chill her out? Because she's such a hyper dog. Like she's really good. She doesn't bark. She doesn't like never bites. Nothing like bad. But she's very hyper and she's very loving. So she like jumps up and like hello, give me love. And she's only about 1 foot tall. So she's like, what is like 4 kilograms? But I said to the vet, I was like, is there anything we can do or like anything that we could give her that should make her more relaxed on the wedding day and not so like, hello everyone, give me some love. And once I was at the vet, there was this fucking horrible dog. It was like a rat of a dog that just kept barking and screaming at dogs. And like when I was walking past it with Bo, the dog was like trying to go for Bo. And the mum was like, the lady who owned the dog was just like, oh she's cute but a psycho. Like? Oh, yeah. And she kept saying,
she's cute but a psycho.
I've got a t-shirt at home.
If she rips your dog's throat out, I mean, that's just how I say hello, isn't it?
She kept saying, I've got this t-shirt because I should have worn it. Cute but a psycho, little miss attitude. I thought, fuck it, don't speak to me.
Control your fucking dog.
Yeah, get your fucking dog before I fucking choke you both out. I was just like, it's just so annoying that people think that their behaviors and stuff is like okay just to like laugh about. I think that's like not a nice thing to have to people, like for Bo to be scared of me, to feel awkward that you're there, and just like there's some people who are just so arrogant or like pig-headed.
Not my dog. Would never happened to my dog. Yeah, so
and this fucking little rat. It's going,
I took Alfie for a walk, right, down by me, and there's like a green not far, like just down the road. Took him around there. I don't let him off the lead, right? Basically, my dog,
we don't let him off
for
the
those
lead
who don't
either.
know, he's really shit at recall. If there's anything, if it's just me and him there, or just me and Amy there with him, he's great. But if there's another dog, another person, or whatever, he's far too interested in that to come back, right? So he's always on the lead with us. Because you just don't know. You know, he runs up to a dog that's a bit aggy or whatever, he gets in trouble, whatever. So we do that. This dog came running down, right? And it was like a little fucking furry thing. It was about half the size of Alfie. Alfie's a golden retriever, so he's a bit of a big dog. I wasn't worried so much, but this dog was like, you know, just trying to play with Alfie, and that's fine, that's no problem. But these people were like, the people who owned him were like calling him, I don't know, it was fucking Rex or something. Rex, come back. Nothing happened. Nothing. The dog was paying no mind. So they slowly started sauntering over. And it was like, what if my dog was like super fucking reactive and was like, I'm going to kill this dog? Do you know what I mean? And I just thought, and he came over here and he went like, oh, sorry, he's not very good at recall yet. And I was like, well, why is he on lead then?
Yeah,
you know?
Maybe me and you are a bit more like nervous people because we would never do that. And also, I don't want to be disruptive to other people having like a nice walk with their dogs and stuff. I don't want them to feel anxious.
Like I know Alfie, he's soft. My dog is soft as shit, right? He wouldn't hurt a fly, but I wouldn't want him to get in another dog's face that maybe is a bit aggy, and like maybe hurt him. You know, so that's why he's on the lead. And I just think
it's why dog walkers have such a bad rap because they're people do hate them because they can be quite oblivious to the fact like. Oh, don't worry. So, you know, like if a dog runs up to like someone jumps up, don't worry, he's harmless. Like, yeah, but I don't want your dog on me. Or like if someone's scared of dogs, it's really unfair to let that like go on. Like my sister's terrified of dogs, and it's not fair just to let it go like wild. Especially like the city.
Like,
if you're like a country farm and you have like a dog that's wild, or like you know can run around properly. But are we being proper grumpy old men?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know, but it's like I do think. All right, your dog's just bolted up to my dog. What if my dog was like threatened and then attacked your dog? Whose fault is that? Mine's on the lead, yours is off, and he's come up to my dog. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
we'll get Judge Rinder on the case.
Where's Rinder when you need him?
Yeah, we'll get him on that. I think this has gone too serious. Though I think we need to buck this trend of grouchiness.
No, I tell you what, we're changing the theme of the episode. It's about dog walkers and dickhead dog walkers. Yeah,
There's no such thing as a bad dog, just a cunt of an owner.
Speaking of dog walking places, I was in Ludlow recently with my wife. My wife, it's so tempting to say that every single time.
It took everything from my wedding not to me to give it the odd my wife.
We were texting about that before your wedding when you're going like, it really does take a lot to not go. And I'd like to thank my beautiful my wife. Thing is, it is just as good as when it first came out as well.
I like that there's no irony when you say that.
There really isn't. If you were up there doing your vows and you went, my wife, I would have fucking given you a standing ovation and been like, what a legend.
We'll be like heartbroken to realise that younger generations don't have that reference point. We're dropping the old my wife.
Children of our friends will just look at us blankly and break our hearts when we say the my wife joke.
For us, the my wife moment is like the train pulling into the station. Do you know that moment when the cinema, when people at the cinema first saw that, like, oh my god, it comes straight out.
Nothing has ever been as good as when that first happened. Yeah,
it's when Sacha Baron Cohen dropped the my wife. Unbelievable.
Good times, man. Good times. I could talk about that all day.
but
I was in Ludlow.
Go on. Hit us with your Ludlow. Sorry,
I was just saying that when I was there, because it's for those who don't know, it's right on the just over the Welsh border. What was the council of the Marshlands back in the day? So I was very interested to go there. Turns out there's not fucking a lot to do in Ludlow, right? There's the castle, which I went to see, and that's fucking it, basically. Apart from lovely old pubs.
Great.
Went to a pub that was from the 1100s, and I fucking loved it in there. It was great. But when we went to the castle, there's this little plaque there, and it was like, oh, be careful of Viking raiders and marauding Welshmen, because it was on the Marshlands.
Yeah.
And I said to Amy, and I thought this was a very funny joke. She didn't. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go and have a word with the fucking site manager here, because for this racist plaque. And I kept making jokes constantly, then going like, Here we are. I'm in a foreign land. I'm trying to keep my fucking the memory of my ancestors alive in this hostile territory. Kept doing that, and she went, "Can you just give it up? Just stop, please. Just drop it, please." Yeah. And yeah, I did have to do that. And there's also Americans in the castle as well. And like, I'm not trying to tar every American with the same brush, right? At all.
Well, careful, because we got a lot of American listeners.
Yes,
so
and I'm not saying that you're all like this, but these Americans were particularly obnoxious. One of them went up to like one of the turrets. They got put onto the top of the turret in the tower, and they were just quoting Monty Python. You know, the ones like, "Oh, you're," but they were shouting it, like really shouting it. And they're going, "Your mother is a gerbil," and blah, 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 whatever the fuck it is. You know, like
isn't it weird? The people who go traveling are always the worst exports from that country. Because I did 4 months traveling in America, and they are such fun, nice, really accommodating, unbelievably charming, and like friendly. Like, you know, they want to show you the best time. And then when they come over here,
they've been the loveliest people in the world. Like, they're so nice.
It's the same. When I met an Australian guy in America, and we were both traveling. And every time we were in like hostels, we'd see like groups of British people, and they were the worst, like the absolute cunts of the the worst. And he'd meet Australians, like, "Oh fucking hell, man, I fucking love you," and he'd be so embarrassed of them. It just feels like whenever they go abroad, whoever's there is just the worst type of person. All the good people just stay at home. These
Americans were like they must have been on some sort of like group trip or whatever, because there's quite a few of them. There's quite 10 of them, and yeah, it was like, it's that thing of, they were at the top of this tower. And it's that annoying obnoxiousness and arrogance that goes, "I'm so funny, I'll shout this now at the top of my lungs," and everyone will fall about laughing. They'll think, "What a legend!" and everyone clapped.
And we're so reserved that we don't want to speak above a whisper.
And it was going, "Your mother is a hamster," and blah blah blah. And I was like, "Oh, shut the fuck up!" Like, I was just, shut up.
I do think people find it like have you seen that guy, that American guy at a bus? He's in like Edinburgh, and he's got his camera and he films around. He goes, "Hello, good." He does like and can you say anything about like in America? He's like, "Yeah, can y'all say anything about Edinburgh?" And he goes, "Gives us your fucking wallet." He tries to rob him. And the thing, I thought you haven't judged the tone of the Brits, who are surly and not a laugh.
No, but that was the only downside I'd say to Ludlow. It was just a select few Americans, not all Americans, I'm sure, but it's just those Americans were like, just know someone thinks they're so funny that they have to share it with the fucking world, and it's like, man, just shut up. I just want to very lazily look over a plaque and go, and then walk along. Right?
I think that's the biggest difference. If you have like an outgoing American next to a plaque, and he goes, "Wow, this is fantastic," and the British
response, "This was built by the Normans. This was built by Normans."
The British response would go, "Oh, Normans."
Just go, I even said that to him. I went, "Oh, Normans, they built this." Oh, cool. Just walk along. Next plaque.
Who's actually having more fun in life? I don't know.
I question sometimes. Maybe am I limiting the amount of enjoyment I get out of life? I don't know.
By being constantly pissed off, which I am.
Constantly annoyed.
Everything annoys me. We've really pivoted into being grouchy old men.
Sorry, audience and listeners. We've gone from grumpy dog walkers, grumpy castle.
I think it's because I've been in the sun a lot today. I've been trying to get loads of steps in. I've been on a bit of a health kick.
That's mad. I've been in the sun a lot, to be fair.
Well, I've been in the sun. I feel like it, and I went for a walk from Jackson Bay over to the Cold Nap down Barry, and I went for like a proper like.
That's a decent walk, man.
It's a decent walk, man. I did like 15,000 steps now, and lots of wind and all that. Like, I think windburn, sunburn. I've had a few beers.
You've had all the burns and the beers. Like, what's it going to do to your psyche, isn't it?
It makes you a bit just a bit tired and a bit groggy.
Tired and groggy.
Yeah. So, do you want to perk us up with a tale of yonder?
Yes, before I do that, I'm sorry if you.
I'm
just getting a beer out. I gotta say.
Well, I'll set us up then, because we are so shit at doing this. And I am sorry. We're a listener-supported podcast, so our Patreon members are the reason why we can keep doing this stuff, and we're really, really, really grateful to everyone who signed up on the Patreon, which is patreon.com/Tales4 Wales, I think.
No, the Patreon is Tales for Wales, all the words. The email address is talesforwales4, just to be confusing. We don't keep consistent, so sorry about
that. Yeah, brand recognition is not our forte. We are, like we said, we're a listener-supported podcast. So yeah, and on there we have a £1 tier, which is just to help us keep going, called Registered Welshophile. It's just shekels to keep us running the podcast going. The Jibber Jabber is £5 a month for 2 bonus episodes, which would only come out on the Patreon, and they vary from like history to just us chatting bollocks.
I thought you were going to say they vary from good to fucking shit.
They vary in quality. The latest one, I think I was like dangerously hungover, which was quite a fun one, but it was.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed it because I was okay, and I was just listening to you being like the depths of hell, like the seventh circle. It was great.
And then the last one is called the Taily, which in Welsh means family, and that's £10 a month. And in that, you get, after a month, you get like a personalised artwork. After 3 months, you get an episode dedicated to you about your hometown. And so we do a deep dive into there. And we're going to start doing a bit more like funny social media comments and stuff, because we realize that social media hometown accounts and like Facebook pages are where a lot of bands
that's where the really good shit happens, basically.
And then after 6 months we write a Mabinogion story about you, so
we add another branch to the Mabinogion,
which is like Welsh mythology. And then we also we are coming up with some other tiers, the points after you've been with us for like a year, etc., just to keep it worthwhile to staying on. But it's just one more time, thank you so much to all the Patreon members. You do keep the lights on.
And on that point, actually, we need to thank a producer, Charlene Reese, who has recently upgraded to the Patreon Taily tier. I'm trying to think of a funny rhyme for Charlene Reese. What can we do?
I forgot we have to do this fucking nonsense. Well, all I can think of is Marlene from Only Fools and Horses. but that's not even Charlene.
I was going to say, is that enough? Can we get away with that?
Yeah. Hang on, I think I got something here. No, I know.
Hear the cogs turning.
Yeah.
I got something.
Well, do you know in the Jungle Book they say, "Do you think you can beat that bad tiger?" I sure can, because he's called Shere Khan.
I Charlene. Is that what you're going with?
Is that anything? Do you think that our Patreon members are really good? I Charlene. I've got nothing there.
Okay.
Well,
all right, Shaz, I'm really sorry about that, but that's all you got, I think. That's all we got.
Shaz, forgive it. I'm sure you love being called Shaz as well. That's exactly the kind of thing.
I'm really sorry that I just instantly called you Shaz.
Yeah. Charlize actually spoke to us on Insta, and she does not come across as a Shaz. But I think we should
strike me as a Shaz.
I think, Charlene, you should rebrand as a Shaz, and you should come back and be really hard and like get loads of tattoos on you and be right. I'm Shaz.
Oh, come back, Shazza Ray. I reckon that'd be good.
Shazza Ray. We rebranded you, Charlene. Marlene. I love
Marlene. From Marlene so to Shaz to Shazza Ray. God, we've pushed it beyond. It's great.
Diolch yn fawr, Shazza. You're
anyway, cheers, Shaz. Cheers, Charlene Reese, aka Shazza Ray. Thank you very much. But yes, anyway, let's get back on track.
How has it been fucking 20 minutes?
Good Lord, this is a long episode. I said before this. I said we need to make this a short intro because it's a long episode. Never mind.
Hey, mate, we could do a classic two-parter.
Oh yeah, who cares? Who gives a shit? We make the rules, don't we? Yeah. So anyway, this episode is on Strathclyde, aka Strathclyde. So Strathclyde is the Welsh name for Strathclyde, which, for those who don't know, is a region in southwest of Scotland. And the reason I'm jabbering on about it today is it was once upon a time considered a Welsh kingdom that made up an area the Welsh once called Hadrian Ogledd, or the Old North in English. I will circle back and focus more on Strathclyde, but before that, I want to give some more detail on Hadrian Ogledd, or the Old North, first, and explain what exactly it was and how it was connected to Wales. So this ancient region existed between about 500 and 800 AD, so popped up around 100 years or so after the Romans left Britain, and was made up of 4 major kingdoms: Strathclyde, or Strathclyde, Teyrnas Elmed, or the Kingdom of Elmet, Ogledd, and Gododdin, which some may know as the namesake of the very famous poem that we've mentioned before in previous episodes. In the Old North, they spoke Cumbric, which was a dialect of Old Welsh. Old Welsh is what the Brittonic language...
Sorry to interrupt so early. When you say, like, what dates are we talking here? Do you know?
Yeah, so Strathclyde was between 500 and 800 AD.
Cool. Had you said that already?
Yes, I had, yeah.
I thought so. When you said it then, AD, I thought you just
fucking listen.
Sorry. Sometimes it's hard to remember because I'm.
Sorry, I'm going through quite quick as well. To be fair.
No. That was on me. I was probably clicking my beer. Sue me. Sorry.
Sue me, mate. Right, sue me. Do me in. So in the Old North, they spoke Cymric, which was a dialect of Old Welsh. Old Welsh is what the Brythonic language began to morph into around this time. So both are like a linguistic descendant of what all the Celts would have spoken way back when, pre-Roman invasion. The people of Wales and at Hen Ogledd, they considered themselves to be one people and referred to each other as Cymrogi, which is an old Brythonic word meaning fellow countrymen. This is where modern Welsh gets the word Cymru with a Y at the end, not a U, which means Welsh, the Welsh or the Welsh people. Interestingly as well, the Breton equivalent, Cenfros, means compatriots. And that's to this day as well.
I've told you that before, haven't I? That the way to remember, if you're speaking about the person or the country, Cymru with a U at the end is the country.
Is the country,
and Cymru with the Y, so it's a Cymry, is the person. It looks like it's a person because it's got two legs.
2 legs. That's the way to remember it. Yeah. I remember I mocked you the first time you told me that, but you know what? It's actually quite useful.
I gotta say, I can't stop thinking of Shaz.
I've just been thinking, I've got Shaz on the brain, baby.
Just keep thinking of Marlene, Shazleen, Charlie. So,
this one's for you, Shaz.
Yeah.
Big up for Shaz.
Yeah.
Oh, God, right. Cool. I got it.
Also, this is actually genuinely very interesting. I had no idea that this was a thing. So
I know this is. When I actually came across this, I was like, it has to be on the pod. It's got to be.
Yeah.
And what better way to do it than tell it while I'm on my Camden Lager tops as well? Then a little swig, and I'll continue.
I'm on a good couple now. I've had like I said, I'm on a bit of a. I'm thinking of doing another boxing. I'm hoping to have one more fight before I never do anything ever again. Around November time.
Oh, mate, so I want to do that. 100% will be there. The last time you did was so fucking
class,
fun,
wasn't it? Yeah, so I'm going to hopefully... I'll try and raise some money, and hopefully some of the pod listeners will get involved. But I'm on a bit of a health kick, so I'm currently on
milk
skinny
the Taily for all they're worth, mate. That's right.
Well, I mean the wider pod community. So last time I raised money for Medicine Sans Frontières, the Doctors Without Borders.
Oh yeah, that's what you told me.
But this time I do it for whatever. Sorry, go on. I'll do it for the pod. I'll just raise money for the pod.
Yeah. Right. Sorry. Anyway, so what was I on about? Yeah. So at Hen Ogledd, the Old North. Yeah. At Hen Ogledd, or the Old North, was distinct in this area of Britain at the time, as the other kingdoms surrounding it were inhabited by the Picts, the Anglo-Saxons, and the Scotti. So this is confusing, but the Scotti are actually Celts from Ireland, and the Picts, and the Picts are Celts native to the area of Britain that would become Scotland. So the Scotti invaded the northernmost parts of Britain and took the kingdom of Dalriada from the Picts around 500 AD, which is essentially the west coast of modern Scotland. The Scotti would eventually expand and create the kingdom of Alba, which was the precursor for Scotland, eventually wiping out the Picts. So it is confusing, but the Scotti were Irish Celts.
Yeah, we could probably add some photos to our Insta channel for this episode. To help.
Yeah, we probably could, to be fair. But it's just I know it sounds like the Scotti would be Scotland. Scotti are actually Irish.
I actually saw it.
Scotland was like kind of founded by the Irish Celts, if that makes sense.
Well, just before that's why Gaelic and Gaelic are very similar.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw some guys how you should pronounce them and stuff, and there's very similarities. But I actually was on Facebook earlier researching something, and a photo came up of where the Anglo-Saxons were, where the British were, aka the Welsh, what we call it now, Welsh, and then where the Picts were, and where another. So maybe we could upload some photos of that, or maybe to the Patreon. People could go over there because you can see some stuff for free on Patreon.
Yeah, looking at the maps and stuff, that absolutely helped me, like, sort of decipher.
Well, let's say that. Should we drop some? We'll drop some info in our Patreon. Yeah, so even if you're not paying to be a member, you can go have a look there, and that might be another reason to pop over there.
So anyway, the Hen Ogledd, as it's known then, was slowly chipped away at by its numerous enemies, and there was even a lot of evidence that the kingdoms within the Old North fought amongst each other. Classic fucking like Celts. In any case, the Old North was integrated or conquered by the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, the Scotti, or the Picts in one fashion or another by around the year 800, leaving just Strathclyde standing until the 11th century when Scotland incorporated into its kingdom. Despite being lost, the kingdoms of the Old North remained a strong memory in Wales long after it was gone, with several important Welsh dynasties claiming lineage that hailed from there. For example, Cynedda ap Edern, who essentially started the Royal House of Gwynedd, was originally from the Gododdin. It also referenced a lot. It's referenced a lot by famous Welsh poets like Taliesin and Aneurin. Like I said, with the poem Gododdin, as I mentioned earlier. So that's the Old North, which we might well do a separate episode on maybe some point. I don't know, split up the kingdoms into episodes. I'm not sure. Depends how interesting they are, I guess. But for now, we're going to go back to Strathclyde. So, originally called Outclit in Old Brythonic, named after the kingdom's capital, the kingdom was likely founded by the Damnoni, the Celtic tribe that originally inhabited the area. As I mentioned earlier, Strathclyde, as well as its neighbours that made up the Old North, were always fighting either an external enemy or each other, but the interesting history starts around the beginning of the 7th century. At that time, a guy named Aidan MacGabrain, these are old Irish names, by the way, so if I do apologise, any Irish listening, if I mispronounce them, Aidan MacGabrain was the most powerful king in northern Britain, and he controlled most of what was called Dalriata at the time. This was another kingdom where modern-day Argyll and Bute would be. Argyll and Bute. So essentially, it's right next to where Strathclyde was. So Aidan is referred to in Welsh poetry as Evan Vradawg, or Aidan the Treacherous. So the Welsh historically didn't like the guy very much, and that's because he was always trying to seize control of Strathclyde. Lucky for our Welsh cousins up north, Aidan's troublemaking was put to an end around 604, when his army, including several Irish kings, were defeated at the Battle of Deg Saston by Ethelfrith, a king of Bernicia, a nearby Anglo-Saxon kingdom. After this big-time victory, Ethelfrith, his son Edwin, as well as a number of Bernician and Northumbrian kings, went through a period of expansion. They pushed into North Wales, Mercia, and southern Scotland, with the latter push leading to the conquest of Teyrnas Elmed. So old Ethelfrith and Edwin were inching closer and closer to Strathclyde, essentially. So in 642, the king of Strathclyde, Iwain, and that's a Y, not an O, by the way, at the start, or also known as Eugene in English, which is a fucking loser name, defeated the ruler of Dalriata at a place called Banawg, aka Bannockburn. The ruler of Dalriata at the time was actually Aidan the Treacherous's grandson, Domnall Breck. It's said that the battlefield they fought on was actually pretty worthless. So what they actually were fighting on was worth fuck all. But because where they were fighting, it was made up of bogs and infertile hills and things like that. But what it was like the key, it was the access to smaller Brittonic kingdoms to the south. And so basically, whoever owned these like bogs and barren hills, they could impose tribute on the smaller kingdoms to the south. So leaders in that area, they were always fighting for control of this area, because these bogs and stuff, because then they had an income from the Brittonic kingdoms to the south. So this constantly swapped hands between Strathclyde, Dalriata, or like the Picts and the Bernicians as well. They were always fighting over it. Strathclyde kept trudging along for about 50 years or so, occasionally offering some of its soldiers as mercenaries for battles in Ireland, as it's only a short boat ride across the Irish Sea, until once again between 711 and 756, Strathclyde would start warring with its neighbours, this time predominantly against the Picts. The Pictish king, Oengus, or a modern-day Angus, made 3 attempts to conquer Strathclyde, each failing pretty miserably until about 750, Oengus allied with Eadbert of Northumbria. Both rulers were primed and ready to lay waste to their Cumbric enemy, but once again that northern Celt gumption of Strathclyde couldn't be beaten, and the kingdom once again repelled the attacking army under the leadership of a guy called Tewdwr ap Beli, or Tedibur in English, the king at the time of the Cumbrians. This guy Tewdwr actually killed Ongus's brother Talorgan at the battle, but in order to repel the invading army, Tewdwr had to concede the plain of Kyle, which is around the modern-day town of Ayr, around there. So he gave up a little bit of land to win the overall battle. Tewdwr kicked the bucket at about 752, but despite the Picts and Northumbrians having been whooped wholeheartedly 2 years earlier, they still had their eyes set on Strathclyde and once again assembled an army to take it. Tewdwr's son, Dyfnwal III, or Dumnagol III in English, he inherited his father's duties of safeguarding the kingdom, and in 756 the Picts and Northumbrians, once again led by Angus and Edbert, laid siege to Dumbarton Rock. While unable to claim an outright victory like his father had done so many times, Dyfnwal did fight the Picts and Northumbrians tooth and nail, to the point all parties decided to give up the fighting on account of how many lives were being lost on both sides. The Northumbrian army in particular was said to have been all but wiped out. So this is the end of the excitement for a little while in Strathclyde until about 114 years later, when the Vikings turned up and they stuck their noses in and caused a bloody hell of a ruckus. So I liked the story of Dyfnwal there, in that he couldn't defend it outright like his dad, but he fought such tooth and nail that they were like, right, we're losing too many people. We got to just fucking call it a day. I quite like that. But anyway, so this is when the Viking Age starts now. So this is about in 870, two Viking chiefs called Olafur and Eamar, they sailed an army over from Ireland and laid siege to Strathclyde. The siege lasts 4 months and led to the destruction of the kingdom's capital, along with a shit ton of prisoners taken. It's to be taken with a bit of a pinch of salt, but the Annals of Ulster said that the two warlords, quote, returned to Athcliath, which is Dublin, from Alba, essentially Scotland, with 200 ships, bringing away with them in captivity to Ireland a great prey of Angles and Britons and Picts. So they had a fuckload of prisoners they brought back. So one of these prisoners was the king of Strathclyde, Arthgal ap Dyfnwal, and his son Rhyn. And 2 years after he was captured, Arthgal was assassinated in Dublin on the instruction of Causatin mac Cineda, aka Constantine I, king of the Picts. Rhyn was married to Constantine's sister at the time, so historians suspect this was Constantine's sort of machinations to manipulate events so that the throne of Strathclyde would fall to him eventually. Rhyn was king of Strathclyde for a time, and I found conflicting stories about whether he ruled from afar in Ireland or actually came back to rule his kingdom like there in Strathclyde or Strathclyde. Either way, under his rule, there were significant settlements of Norse and Gaels in his realm. They even moved the boundaries of the kingdom closer to the River Clyde. This is around the time Strathclyde began being known as Strathclyde, so I'm going to switch to calling it that as well, to keep consistent with it.
Yeah.
Constantine's gambit of manipulating the throne of Strathclyde would actually backfire on him in 876, when he and Rhyn both died fighting against Vikings. This meant not only the Strathclydian throne passed to Rhyn's son Eochaid, but the Pictish throne passed to him as well, because he was the closest male heir. Also, I don't know if Strathclydian is a word, but you get what I mean. You get what I'm saying. So, fast forward to the late 9th century, and this is where the Vikings are having a pop at the kingdoms all over the place, even getting close to conquering England entirely, apart from the Kingdom of Wessex, which was down south, for those who don't know. In 910, Edward the Elder, the Anglo-Saxon king, along with his sister Ethelfled, also known as Lady of the Mercians, managed to push back the Vikings and recover all of England south of the River Humber.
So that's what Last Kingdom is about, isn't it?
I was just about to say, for any Last Kingdom fans like us, Edward and Ethelfled are the children of Alfred the Great that you see alongside him in the show.
Such a good show, man.
Such a great show. If people have not watched that,
it's the biggest recommendation.
It's fucking brilliant. It's brilliant. But yeah, this is the kind of era it's set in, and yeah, Ethelfled is like a big character in it, and so is Edward and all this. It's worth a look, definitely. So Ethelfled, she managed to ally herself with the Kingdom of Strathclyde, as well as the Picts and the Gaels of what would become Scotland, and together they endeavoured to drive the Norse from the north. Historians aren't 100% on who was king of Strathclyde at this point, but there was another king, Dyfnwal, who ruled in the early 10th century, and his son Owain succeeded him before the year 920. So they're fairly sure that it's one of them that was in charge leading these armies at this point. In 927, then, Edward's son Aethelstan finally conquered Viking-ruled Northumbria and became the first ever king of England. That year, on the 27th of July, several kings came to accept his lordship, including Constantine II of Alba. Alba was essentially heading at this point towards being Scotland. Owain ap Hywel of the Kingdom of Gwent in Wales, and also another Owain, the one I mentioned earlier, who was they suspect was the king of Strathclyde. 7 years later, Aethelstan invaded Alba and laid waste to much of it, including areas of Strathclyde. Owain allied himself with King Constantine II, and in 937, 3 years after the English invasion began, the armies of Strathclyde, Alba, the Vikings of Dublin, they all fought against the English at the Battle of Brunanburh. This battle is often cited as being...
I actually wrote that down on our... whilst I was researching something the other day, I was going to write that down for us to do an episode on, because it's the Battle of the Five Kings, isn't it? It's like...
Yes. I was just about to say, so this battle is often cited as being the origin of English national identity, is when people of England stopped sort of thinking of themselves of like Mercia, Northumbrians, etc., and they just became one nation. They were English. And I'm not saying that that is not very important, but I reckon it's more important that that is actually the battle that happens in the Last Kingdom film.
Yeah.
Seven Kings Must Die.
Seven Kings
So
Must
give
Die.
that a look. It's very good. Seven Kings Must Die. This is also around the time that Alba changed into Scotland. So Picts and Gaels, or Scotty, they all became kind of united to one person.
But in Welsh, an Alban is how you... So Scotland, the word in Welsh.
Yes, exactly.
Alban,
so what the Pictish used to call there was Alba, the Kingdom of Alba. We still, in Welsh, our Alban is Scotland. So that's like sort of where that comes from. But yeah, this is around the time that they became Scotland as opposed to the Kingdom of Alba, and like the Pictish and the Gaels, they stopped being kind of a separate people, if you like. So Owain died in this battle, and he left his son Dyfnwal ap Owain, and that's another Dyfnwal to inherit the throne of Strathclyde. You can tell they're fucking related to Wales because they just love giving everyone the same bloody name over and over again. But after the defeat at Brunanburh, Alba, or Scotland, as it was then called, decided to submit to England, whereas Dyfnwal kept his alliance with the Vikings. Ethelstan's half-brother Edmund, he succeeded the English throne in 939, becoming Edmund I, and saw it fit to punish Dyfnwal for being allied with his enemies, sending an army north and ravaging Strathclyde, going so far as to capture two of Dyfnwal's sons and having their eyes cut out, making them unfit heirs. Dyfnwal was forced to flee his kingdom, and Edmund declared that Strathclyde would belong to Malcolm I of Scotland, so long as he pledged to defend it in England's name. So now we move on to the end of Strathclyde as a kingdom, or certainly as a Celtic or Cumbric kingdom, whichever you want to look at it as. Just shy of 40 years passed, and the false rulers of Strathclyde were sitting pretty, right up until its king, Culan mac Idulb, I don't know if I've said that right, Idulib, I'm not sure, and the king's brother Eochaid was slain by Rhydderch ap Dyfnwal, son of the very Dyfnwal that was forced to flee Strathclyde all those decades earlier. Also, Culan's Anglicized name is Colin as well, which I thought was hilarious. All hail King Colin. Makes me think of from Colin Robinson from fucking
I was just
What We Do
thinking
in the
that
Shadows.
Guy. Yeah.
Come on, Colin Robinson.
The energy vampire.
The energy vampire Colin Robinson. So Rhydderch killed Colin and his brother allegedly for the abduction and rape of his daughter. And with this kill, he reclaimed his father's throne. Sadly, this would be the last gasp of rebellion from the Cumbrians, as Strathclyde was once again conquered by the Kingdom of Scotland in the mid-11th century during the reign of Mel Colum mac Cineda. Although the Cumbrians lost their kingdom, they are mentioned now and then after this. For example, in 1054, the English King Edward the Confessor, he sent an army of Northumbrians against Scotland, along with an army led by Malcolm, the King of the Cumbrians. So they were still about, but they'd lost their kingdom essentially. So where they chose to have their homeland after losing Strathclyde is a bit of a mystery. But it would have been somewhere nearby, probably in like one of the smaller towns. But they'd essentially lost, a lot of their power.
Yeah.
Strathclyde was then briefly conquered by England under William the Conqueror when his son William Rufus invaded the region, claiming the lands for his father. By the 1070s, Scotland had reclaimed Strathclyde, and the land that had once made up the Cumbrian kingdom was made an appanage and was granted to Alexander the Fierce while he was Prince of Scotland.
Isn't it mad how much war has happened on this island?
Oh, it is crazy. It is absolutely mad.
Wales was at war with the Normans / English for over 200 years, just when Wales was Wales and England was England, let alone when it was, Mercia. Mercia nearly took over all of Wales, and that was for 600 years before. It's fucking
If you think how many generations had to fucking take up arms, that is insane, isn't it? Like, children of children of children, like, constantly fighting. Yeah. And this is kind of no different. And I don't know if you know what, I didn't know what an appanage was before.
Is it like a bit like a vessel?
Yeah, a vassal state, essentially. So Strathclyde was turned into a appanage. Like I said, for those who don't know, it's like a grant of land, usually to a prince or an heir of a kingdom. So Wales was an appanage for a long time for the monarchy of England, traditionally going to the king's firstborn. And given the title of Prince of Wales. So that's why when we were a principality, we would be, the sort of land was given to the firstborn heir.
The crown estate.
Yeah, exactly. Because, after our last native prince was killed, that's what it was used for. And that's it, basically. That's how our northern Cumbric cousins lost their kingdom and had it absorbed into Scotland.
So what's it called now? It's Strathclyde.
Strathclyde now, Strathclyde, yeah. But it used to be called Ystrad, and originally in Celtic it was Altclit.
Like, Clit.
I know, I did think Clit. I was thinking, when's someone going to make a better joke about
that? The etymology of place names I find so interesting. Like, you can see Strathclyde, and now what it becomes now. You could get rid of the Y at the start, but you still got the Strath sounding word. And it needs to be two words in it: Strathclyde and then Strathclyde and Strathclyde.
You can see the sort of the genesis of it, can't you? All the way through. But I'll leave you with a comment I found on Reddit on the subject, where a poster called Leopard Print Cactus he'd done a great roundup of stuff on this, actually, and a lot of the stuff I said in this was actually from him. So thank you very much, Leopard Print Cactus. But there was one comment on it after this, and sadly, it was way more downvoted than I thought it should be, and the account that posted it has since been deleted, and more's the pity, because he said, "Colonial bastards, reparations should be sought from the SNP forthwith." Which I quite like.
As in, the Welsh should get that from the SNP.
Yeah, we should get reparations from the SNP because they killed Strathclyde or Strathclyde. But that is the story of Strathclyde, the Welsh in the north.
Oh, the Welsh in the north.
The Welsh in the north.
I love that, man. It is funny because if you ever see like maps of where like England as we know it stops a bit before Cornwall and then before the northeast and like the northwest, like when it's the Anglo-Saxon territory, they just usually paint the top of like all of Wales and then most of Scotland by the Picts as Britons. And it is funny to think if that, like in Dad's Army when they used to do that invasion thing of like the intro is like the Nazis coming over and they swarm around like France, they take over France and all the arrows point at Britain. It's kind of like that with that where you think, oh, so because of Wales, the way the map of Wales shaped, we all get pushed into this area, which makes sense. But then those who were pushed above, like where
they couldn't go down, so they had to like sort of go to the edge. Yeah,
it's like that like blitzkrieg movement of pushing through the lines, and I think they'd be, if someone who's a bit more tech savvy could make a really fun animation,
like graphic or something,
where Britons were, and then when they got pushed aside. And I think that would be very visually pleasing.
It would be very visually pleasing, but no, it's interesting, like because like there's it's not a coincidence that Cumbric is very close to Cymru.
Yeah, is that why you have places in that area like Penrith?
Yes, exactly right. Yeah, that's like a remnant of the Celtic, the Cumbrians,
Cumbria
from there. Yeah, the Cumbric. I'm not sure if it's Cumbrians or Cumbric. I'm not sure what the term for them is.
But I've always wondered why they have such Welsh-sounding places up there on the north of England, and so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
there's also I watched a very good video. There's places on the east coast of England that have Celtic names as well, and apparently they are meant to be the last. It's because of the last remnants of Celts in East England when the Anglo-Saxons turned, and it's the Celts that said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to convert to your culture. I'll convert to your religion or whatever."
Yeah.
But then carried on being Celts, and they were an absolute nuisance in the area.
Oh, yeah.
We should probably do an episode on that because I watched a very good YouTube video on that. But
we will never run out of things for this pod, will we? Because we constantly, every single episode we do it begats another.
It's an absolute hydra, mate. You cut one head off, two spring up in its place.
Yeah, I've been writing an episode about Lord Rees from Deheubarth for about 3 weeks now, and every time I get to another point, I'm like, "Oh shit, we got to do this. We got to do this." Like other prongs of his story come out, and in that one there, I think we should look at other Welsh influences in the rest of the UK.
Can you believe there was a time, I remember we had this conversation, we went like, "Oh, what if we run out of stuff to talk about?"
Yeah. You might think from some episodes we've done that we run out of things years ago, but there's still plenty more.
Oh, should we do another AI quiz or?
Can I tempt you in an AI quiz round? No, they're good, man. They're fun, and they save us when
they're good, all right. They're fun. They're fine. They love it.
Well, one of the Patreon episodes that we've done recently was a Choose Your Own Adventure, which was really fun. So,
good, yeah.
And there's not run out of history. So that was, we'll do one of them again as well because that was really fun. I liked writing that. Right, well, that was really good, man. That was really interesting. That's definitely that's my bag, if you will.
It's right in your bag, yeah.
Yeah, it's Scotland, which I fucking love. Like I
love Scotland
so
it's got Wales, it's got all the bits you love, mate.
I'm gonna go hopefully watch the Spanish beat England, but then should we catch back up later for another epi?
Absolutely, mate.
Cheers
for everyone listening. Diolch yn fawr.
We should definitely play. If you got this far, please drop us a 5-star review because that really helps apparently, and a review itself. A 5-star review and a written review massively helps us get.
Even if you just say "da iawn," that'd be fucking.
Yes, if everyone listening right now writes "da iawn," that'll be that's all you need to do, and
you make our bloody lives.
Yeah. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you so much.
Diolch yn fawr.